Ja, ich möchte uns ganz kurz vorstellen, beziehungsweise unseren Kunden vorstellen. Wir sind relativ neu auf dem Markt, aber nicht im E-Learning. Wir sind seit über 20 Jahren ein kanadisches Unternehmen, das E-Learning sowohl für Universitäten als auch für Unternehmen anbietet und als solche im schönen Kitchener beheimatet, zu Hause von BlackBerry und anderen großen Unternehmen sozusagen der Tech-Hub von Kanada und haben vor 3 Jahren beschlossen, dass auch der deutsch-österreichische Schweizer Markt bzw. der gesamte europäische Markt Bedarf für solche Produkte hat und haben dann eine sehr langsame, im kanadischen Sinne gemächliche Ausweitung hier angefangen und freuen uns deswegen das erste Mal hier auf der E-Learning-Tour in Wien dabei zu sein. Wir arbeiten mit unterschiedlichsten Unternehmen bereits zusammen, nicht überraschend aus dem nordamerikanischen Raum zunächst, die unsere Lernplattform dafür nutzen, um ihre Mitarbeiter zu schulen, sogenannte Onboarding-Programme, Corporate University-Programme und so weiter. Die Plattform selber, wie gesagt, gibt es schon seit über 20 Jahren und bietet deswegen ein sehr breites Toolset an. Wir haben das gerade im Vortrag gehört, von Video bis hin zu Blended Learning Szenarien und so weiter, beziehungsweise hat der Markt sich jetzt dahingehend entwickelt, dass man diese Lernplattformen als Next Generation Learning Environments bezeichnet. Und diese sind wie so ein Lego-Haus zusammengebaut, in das man unterschiedlichste bestehende Technologien schon einführen kann. Die gerade genannten SCORM-Pakete wären ein Beispiel, die man dann über die Plattform mit einbinden kann. Aber dafür sind wir heute nicht hier. Wer mehr dazu erfahren möchte, auch wir sind vorne und später in der Speed-Geeking-Session. Womit wir uns heute beschäftigen wollen, ist mit einem unserer Kunden, Kaplan Financial, die diese Plattform seit einigen Jahren einsetzt. Und im Zuge dieser Schulungsmaßnahme ein sehr interessantes Beiprodukt gefunden hat, über das Stuart jetzt auf Englisch berichten wird. Er war der kein Deutsch spricht, aber wir haben gehört, Ihr Englisch ist sehr gut und ich übergebe in dem Sinne an Stuart.
Thank you, Nina. Yes, I feel we've already met. I'm the guy that hasn't understood anything other than Mr. Fish, which made a lot of sense. So firstly, my apologies that I don't speak German, so I hope you're going to be all able to understand what I'm saying. My role today really is to share some information with you, share some knowledge with you in connection with how we work with D2L. And I'm going to talk to you about 3 things really. Firstly, I'm going to talk about just a short bit about Kaplan, but only in the context of what we do in the UK, because I think that's relevant to what I'm going to talk about. Secondly, I'm going to talk about our gamification program that we run with one of our major clients. And then thirdly, I'm going to share the kind of curiosity piece at the end, which I think could be quite interesting. I think a few of you might be curious to find out what it might lead to. And I suppose it's about the fact that our background really is primarily sort of high-stakes professional examinations. So this is sort of Kaplan. We are part of Kaplan Inc. in the US, and the claim to fame is we train 1 million students a year. In the US, the product is relatively different. It's largely online. The part that I represent is we train accountants, so I am a qualified accountant. I'm Kaplan's head of learning and have been for the last sort of 8 years, and I am a lecturer, so I have a technical subject as well. So if anybody wants to hang around a little bit later, we can do some financial management, which is marginally as interesting as this. So just a little bit about this. So what we talk about is high-stakes examinations, and high-stake examinations are examinations that the accountants sit in the UK. If they fail, they lose their job. So it's postgraduate. The companies that we work with, PwC, Deloitte, EY, so the big four accountancy firms, and our role, to a large extent, is what the US would call exam prep. It's a much broader role than that these days, but we're the guys that take them post-university and get them ready to sit their professional examinations. So we're a sort of a relatively straight sort of organisation in the sense that our objective is very clear, and our measurement is also relatively straightforward. Historically, to a certain extent, we're judged on success, exam success. If people don't pass, then we kind of get paid. So the three things that I want to talk about is, firstly, just to set the scene a little bit. This is the dilemma that we face, I think. At the moment, people come out of university with examinations, but there's lots of people coming out of university with examinations, and it gets increasingly difficult for employers to choose which graduate they would take. So they all seem to be relatively the same. So there's lots of them, and employers are increasingly looking for different patterns. They're looking for different traits. And the bit at the end, I'm going to come back to this, because this is the part that says maybe the gamification pathway will lead to something. Okay, so this is the dilemma. Everybody looks the same, everybody's got a similar qualification, and the world is quite sort of dynamic. The bit at the end, I hope, will throw some light on that. Now, this is what we're after. So this is our relationship with D2L, really. We're a classroom-based business, or historically we're a classroom-based business. That's partly because a lot of the big accountancy firms preferred their students to be trained within the same way that they were trained. So the partners making the decisions now at a high level generally perceive that delivering face-to-face is very good, and therefore it delivers also a very standard product. But we wanted to change that. We're under pressure on fees to deliver training ever increasingly more quickly. Days, people out the office is challenging. But equally, we have a heritage around exam-based classroom delivery, and we are very proud of that, and we know that it works. So we didn't really just want to jump straight away into any learning modules and remain, to a certain extent, sceptical, because e-learning isn't a solution. It's just good e-learning is a solution. It's like good presenting. So these were the reasons that we were looking. There was three key factors, but there was other motives, really. We wanted our students to have a more blended experience. We wanted the data, okay? And I was having a conversation with my D2L colleagues over breakfast, and we were saying that accountants get data. Sort of, because we're not teachers, we kind of get the idea that data is important, and the idea that you can't capture data from a classroom. I can see you, and I can read you a little bit, but I'm not, I can't reconcile that data afterwards. So the idea is, if we can sort of capture data, we can give the students a better learning experience as far as the blend is concerned. And the other thing, we have to do it at scale. So we're not trying to do it in one instance, we're trying to do it consistently for everyone. So this is, so we put our platform, we had an old LMS, and we upgraded, and we're doing a partnership with D2L to start to gather some of these things and to recognise, I think to a certain extent, the move. And I don't think there is such a thing as classroom delivery anymore. It's all blend. Now, this is the actual gamification program itself that we set up. Now, I'm not sure how familiar people are with this, but it's what we call points, badges, and leaderboards, and sometimes prizes at the end. These are the badges that we set up. Now, I don't know how this translates, actually, but to accountants, trust me, this is funny, Mr. T account, Mad Tax, but the favourite of everybody, and you've got to get the accrual thing if you've ever done any accounting. It's accrual wheel. So these are the badges, and this is the leaderboard. So what they do is they get a badge, but the badges have got prizes, the points on them. So the important thing is that we're trying to change behaviour. And the reason we went for this was, these guys are motivated. If you're going to lose your job, you're kind of quite motivated to study. So we don't have behavioural issues. They're all adults. But what we were looking for is to encourage good learning behaviours. And some of these guys believe that they're really bright, but they're not really experts in learning. They're not really, they kind of learnt in a way, but sometimes we need to reteach them a little bit. So what we found, what the data tells us and what our experience has told us, look, if you want to pass exams, doing questions is a good idea. But equally, we wanted to get underneath that. So how can we encourage them to do that? Well, we can give them points for it. And if gamification's not going to work, it's not going to work in an environment that's full of accountants who are worried that they're going to lose their job. So we set the badges up. We're trying to change the behaviours, and these are the types of things that we are rewarding. So we aren't rewarding, and we've got this expression called progress and performance, or not performance. So what that means is we've always rewarded performance. So if you are academically good and you pass the test, you'll sit at the top of the league table. But we wanted to mix that up, and we wanted to suggest that we want to reward progression. And progression is becoming much more important to us these days, because all you do with exams to a certain extent is measure clever people. And clever people don't always make good employees. Discuss. So this is what we're rewarding. We give them a point for the first attempt, or 5 points. So we still give them credit for scoring well, but we might give them 1 point for scoring well and 5 points for attempting the test. We then might give them 7 points for attempting an additional test, completing by a deadline. And if you look at some of these, they're all doing slightly different things. So we have this idea that we're trying to identify, or we're accidentally identifying certain character traits. So the league table that you saw before, that is then a team league table across all the offices. These aren't all the offices, this is just an extract of the big ones. And that league table gives you the idea that effectively these points are contributing to that. Does it work? Pretty much, yeah. So these are the scores that we've had. We've been running this for about 2 years. We've just had the latest set of results for April 2018. So our intakes go sort of April and September. And we've just had the last lot. And the correlation between the behaviours and the exam performance is strong. So this is obviously showing you here the gamification scores, which are made up of the progress and performance. And this is their final mark in the examination. So you can see that sort of cluster. We do get quite good pass rates, so, and that's part and parcel of the sort of process that we sort of take them through. And if I'm honest, the gene pool, good employers look for sort of people that are particularly good at passing exams. So that's the gamification program. We are gamifying the behaviours that we want. So my message about gamification really is you've got to find the behaviours that you want to gamify. We want to reward good learning. So good learning is trying. We want them to try. We want them to attempt more questions. What the kind of message I would say is that, look, that works for us, but you might have other behaviours that you want. It's a kind of a small way of looking at nudge. This is the interesting bit, though. This is the interest. So that's where we are. We've got a gamification program that effectively provides us with information and is working in correlating learning behaviours with exam success. But the bit that we're really quite interested in is this bit. And a lot of you will have perhaps heard about the grit and the determination. The idea that determination is a better quality than most things, and that in a modern world we need to encourage people to have diligence. They need to work hard, determination, and motivation. And it's just possible, if you think back to those scores, that what we've seen with those points is that the people that are scoring higher, if you try a test twice and you do better, is that an indication of determination? Is that an indication of grit? Is that an indication of hard work. And are those not some of the traits that you would like to encourage within your employees? The other bits, okay, Carol Dweck's research on fixed mindsets, relating to this idea that the brain actually changes. If we reward people for good behaviours and they see themselves at the top of a league table alongside people who are academically at the top of the league table, does that potentially start to rewire them? Does that start to give them more of a growth mindset, as Dweck says, rather than a fixed mindset? I don't do very well in exams because I'm not very clever. Or is this, oh, guess what? My league table showed that I was higher, and look, I didn't get the top mark. I wasn't the best, but I still got there, and I'm determined, I'm diligent, and I'm highly motivated. Are those not the qualities that employers would want? So let me leave you with these, because there's a man here flipping his chart on the 0-1 minutes. Let me leave you with these thoughts. All right, inside an LMS gives you more than just the simple stuff. Understanding the behaviours is the secret to driving what people ultimately do. Our gamification results are very encouraging so far, and they may just be identifying the skills of a modern workforce, and who knows, maybe the idea of a growth mindset is possible from a group of people that train accountants. Thank you for listening. I'm on my 0 minutes from the guy that's not going to understand anything from this point on. Mr. Fish, thank you.